Welcome back. Episode 2. And wow, the first one was, there's a lot to dive into about the first episode. And I'm going to talk about some of those things here as it relates to how I created it, as far as like the actual filming, editing, that portion of it. People have asked me, like, since it was the first episode, my first time doing it, and they were just asking, like, well, how'd you do it? What'd you do? So I'm going to dive into some of those different things that you may not know. And yeah, let's talk about it. But with all that being said, welcome back. Fourth and Goals podcast with your host, your boy. And I still haven't decided on the official name of what I want to be referred to as, if I could say that. Coach Love is a name, G Love, George. I mean, there's a few names out there that I kind of go by, and the one that seems to stick right now is Coach Love, just because that's the one I hear the most in the profession that I am in, and but we'll see. I don't want to tie it this podcast directly to football, like I've talked about in the first episode, but I think Coach Love is going to be the one that's going to stick. So let's just roll with that. Welcome back with Coach Love. First of all, I want to thank everybody. Wow, the amount of messages, DMs, texts, all that stuff, phone calls, people just being very supportive of this podcast, and man, it's been truly a blessing to hear from you guys, and I want to say thank you, because making this podcast, you just don't know. You don't know how many people are going to listen, how many people are going to be moved or intrigued or anything like that based upon the things that I talk about in the podcast. And former players, friends, family, it was, like I said, truly a blessing to just hear from you guys. And I want to say thank you. And I hope that as we continue making these episodes, that you'll just come back and listen and give me feedback as to what you listen to, and give me some ideas too as to what to talk about, because even though I'm only on episode 2 and I got plenty of things to talk about, there may be some topics that you guys have that I could cover, and I'd love to obviously get the viewers involved and just talk through some things that you guys want to talk about. But for episode 2, you just got me again. There is no guest coming on the podcast today. It's just me, and quite frankly, I'm okay with that. I'm good with that, because I still need practice in doing this. I still need practice in editing and being by myself and learning how to do this. And I'm hopeful that in the near future we'll get some guests on here and have some dialogue back and forth, because that's really what this is all about. But right now, you just got me, so enjoy. You know what I'm saying? The first episode was off to a great start, but a little insight as to that first episode. I had a little bit of nervous energy, and it wasn't because of what I was going to say, how I was going to talk, the things that I was going to talk about. None of that stuff was the things that made me nervous. I'm not nervous now. I'm talking to you guys, but some of the things that did make me nervous, for one, I'm filming on an iPhone, and it's not in selfie mode. And so I think I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max or something like that. And, on the back of the phone, there's 3 little cameras. And as I'm recording right now, I'm looking at the camera, those cameras on the back of my phone. I can't see myself, which I thought was going to be extremely difficult at first, because I'm just talking to a phone. And I can't see myself, but it actually, after I recorded, I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. It's just a different perspective on that. But That was one of my concerns in recording the first episode. Concern number two was the sound quality. I got this nice microphone here, and obviously I've tested it to make sure that the sound quality is good, but you never know. The first episode I think was 30 some odd minutes long, and trust me, I don't want to record an episode and have to start over. That would be tragic, to say the least. So hopefully that the nervous energy of just the sound quality goes away as I continue to do these things. I know the next time I'll be nervous about it is when I have a guest on, and is their mic loud enough? Is mine loud enough? Those are things that are some concerns about it, but that was one of the things that kind of made me nervous. Concern number three was I got a dog, and those of you that have dogs know that they bark any given moment. It don't matter. And there's a lot of windows in my house. They can look outside and see somebody walking down the street, and they just want to engage in conversation, which for them is barking. And I don't want to, I told y'all in the first episode that I want this podcast to be raw and uncut. And this second episode is going to be no different. I'm not cutting the film. This is me talking straight through the episode. And I'm hoping and praying that I can have some quietness around me without my dog barking, which goes to another concern is my kids. They're like to play, they're playing video games. They like to just hang out and you know how kids are, man. They're 10 and 12. They loud. They get loud a lot. And I've nicely reminded them that, hey, Dad's about to record the podcast. So if you have a little fun, try not to be as loud. So I don't get that feedback from them. But I think the microphone is pretty good and not picking up kind of some outside noises and stuff like that. So like I said, this is going to be raw and uncut. So if you got a dog barking in the background or something like that, or a kid yelling and laughing and stuff like that loud, it is what it is. This is the way I wanted my podcast to be. And like I said, I'm not going to edit and do those different types of things. So, yeah, I mean, those were kind of the concerns. I had no concerns about what I'm going to talk about. I got a script right here. And a question that was asking me was, did you just talk and just talk and talk and talk? And I'm like, nah, I wish I could, but no, I got a script. I got notes that I follow, and I stick to them as much as possible. And there's just like bullet points on there that kind of remind me of what I need to be talking about, what I want to talk about, excuse me. And then I can just go. Then I just talk. And I want to make sure and cover the things that I want to cover in the podcast. So this is on purpose, very deliberate in how I approach, how I want to discuss and what I want to discuss. So yeah, I got notes. And for those of you that can podcast without notes and stuff like that, man, hey, salute, kudos to you. I can't do that. Plus I want to stay on subject. I don't want to talk for too long. I want to just get the topics, keep going, keep the listeners involved. And in doing so, meaning that I have to, take notes. Listen, I did some research on how to podcast, what to do, all that stuff. And that was probably the biggest take, was just have some notes ready to talk about so that you can refer to them and it keeps you on time. And yeah, so I got some notes, which I think if you're going to do this type of stuff, you should. Before I dive into the actual episode and things I want to discuss, a couple of things that happened to me in the last, probably say 24 hours. First thing was, got asked a question, what if your podcast, explodes and makes it huge? Have you thought about sponsorships? And one of my good friends that I met probably like a couple of years ago talked about, I know what your first sponsorship should be. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. And he said, Emo's Pizza. Now, this guy knows me pretty well. One of my best friends, like I said. And he knows I love Emo's Pizza. Shout out to Emo's Pizza back home in St. Louis. To me, it's the best. And you can debate on any pizza that you want. I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to discuss. Emo's, for me, is the GOAT of pizza. And we were laughing about it. I said, look, I don't need anything. They can send me a couple of pizzas in the mail. I guess they said they can send frozen pizza through the mail. And I heard it's pretty good. I haven't tried that yet. I probably need to because I miss it. But I'm like, the sponsorship can be just send me a couple of pizzas and I'll give them a shout out on my podcast so we can keep the stepping. So I thought that was pretty funny that the first thing that he mentioned was Emo's Pizza. I need that sponsorship just for the pizza though. The second kind of small topic I want to talk about is this Texas heat. My goodness, man. And I knew that because I lived in Texas prior to moving and then coming back. This week, I took my wife's car to work all week. And one of the reasons behind it is my left rear blinker is out and I just got to replace the ball, which I can do pretty simple. I've replaced them before. But I just kind of I enjoy driving her car. And she's got a black Buick Regal. But back to what I was talking about is it's a black Buick with black leather interior. And I know you're thinking to yourself, man, that thing got to be hot. It's like scorching. And so every time I get in there, while I'm at work, obviously I park my car outside in the parking lot. When I get in it to come home, I can't tell you what the temperature is. I mean, it's got to be well over 100 degrees in the car. And then when you sit on the leather, that thing is hot. So my advice, and the thing about it is like we bought the car in Texas when we first lived here the first time. I never really noticed it because I didn't drive it that much. It's hers. And I drive my own. I got me a little truck and I drive that and I like my truck, but it's cool to drive hers because she got all the bells and whistles. She got the rear view camera and the Apple CarPlay and all the cool bells and whistles that you would ever want in a car. And my truck doesn't have any of that stuff, and I don't need it. I could care less on that. I hook an aux cord up to my phone, and I'm in the car banging whatever music I got going on that day. And so it's nice to switch it up sometimes and have those bells and whistles that she has. But I think I'm gonna refrain from driving the car until it hits October, November, because I just can't tolerate the scorching leather when you sit down in the car and it's uncomfortable just driving. It takes me 10 minutes to get home from work, and the first 3 or 4 minutes is almost unbearable because it's scorching. So my advice to you, if you're gonna live in Texas, don't get black leather seats. I'm sure my wife would probably debate me on that, but she can, and she probably win because it's her car, and she probably say, "Well, don't drive it, drive your own." So I can tell you, I'm about to get that tail light fixed, and I'm gonna drive my own car to work. I got cloth seats, and they're beige, I think, so they don't get hot at all. The car's still hot, but at least when I sit in the car, it doesn't scorch my arms and legs as I sit down. And yeah, some of you are probably saying, well, Coach, put some, whatever the thing that covers the windshield that's supposed to reflect the sunlight off of it and keep your car a lot more cooler. I ain't buying all that. Listen, I'll just drive my own car. Turn the air on and let's rock and roll for the 10-minute drive that it takes me for me to get to and from home. All right, so let's dive into the actual episode. The first thing I want to discuss is this Teddy Bridgewater situation, and those that follow sports and whatever level it is, this has been kind of the forefront of the news as it relates to the sports industry. And I know that I mentioned that the podcast would not directly be about football, and this is bigger than football. It's related to football, but it's bigger than football. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the situation, I want to talk about it. And so Teddy Bridgewater is a current and former NFL quarterback. He's been suspended by Miami Northwestern High School for providing impermissible benefits to his players. Okay, let's talk about what those things are. Bridgewater spent about $100,000 on training camp, $1,500 a week on meals and transportations to get players to and from practice. This is a violation of the Florida High School Athletic Association. So to basically talk about what he did is he basically fed the kids and got them Ubers to and from practice to ensure that they got the practice. And then he spent $100,000 on training camp, which in training camp you can spend money on meals, equipment, field space, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of things that dive into that. And I believe, and don't quote me on this, I believe he self-reported. I think he ended up telling the school that he was doing these things, and he got suspended because he was in violation of the Florida High School Athletic Association. Some members of the community stated that the Miami Northwestern alumni, now mind you, he went to that school, he graduated from there, but he was just simply filling the gaps where the system fell short. He was making sure the players had a way to get back and forth to school and to practice at home, and providing them with meals that they wouldn't normally get. A few days ago, they held a rally right outside the high school in support of Coach Bridgewater, who did lead them to a state championship last season. And they gave him the nickname, the Neighborhood Hope Dealer, which I think is pretty cool. He kind of spun it in a different way. And the Neighborhood Hope Dealer is something pretty cool, like I said. Some students went to the school board meeting stating that, here's a critical point that I love, especially why I'm in this profession. It says, Coach Teddy is more than a coach. He's somebody who believed in me and all of us when it felt like nobody did. Wow. And so these coaches that coach these kids, high school, little league, college, even the NFL, are more, they're mentors, man. They're more than just a coach. And for these students to go to a school board meeting, which I'm sure probably almost never happens, they want to talk about what Teddy meant to them, and which it sounds like it meant a lot. So let's dive into this a little bit more. Don't get me wrong. Rules are in place for reasons. Okay. I'm not here saying that you should intentionally break rules, just for the sake of doing what you want to do. I don't agree with that. But here's an example of what I thought about when I was looking and reading this story. The speed limit, for example. Okay. Let's say the speed limit is 35. Well, if I'm going to and from work to home, I have to drive 35 miles per hour or under so that I can, make sure I'm not breaking the rules. However, if somebody in my car is critically injured, let's say back when my wife was pregnant, she was in labor and I had to rush to the hospital, you would think that would be a circumstance where you could break the rules, maybe drive a little faster because of the situation that you're in. And so when it comes to what Coach Bridgewater did is, those kids weren't eating, so he got them meals. They couldn't get back and forth to practice, so he got them back and forth to practice. And that's something that hopefully the school will step up and provide those kids transportation and meals and all the things that he provided them. I don't think he purposely broke rules, but I think what he did was morally correct. And here's the kicker of the story. He was volunteering. He was not a paid employee at the high school. He was volunteering. So he used his own money, and obviously, which he was, he played in the NFL for quite some time, and I think he was active after they won state championship. He got back on the NFL roster right after that, so he had the means, and he was trying to help his alma mater and try to be more than just a coach to his players. And so, I think it's an unfortunate situation. The clock is ticking because camp is around the corner. I don't know when Florida high school starts camp. I'm sure they may have started practicing and stuff like that. And with him being suspended, I don't know who's in place to be the head coach there and to be a mentor to them kids, to help those kids be great people and move forward in their life and give them the things that they necessarily couldn't get if Coach Bridgewater didn't provide it. So let's talk about the goals here on Fourth and Goals podcast. What's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal in coaching and is to provide a great experience for the student athlete. Okay, and a great experience is them going to practice. And as a former athlete and a coach now, you learn so much more about life while you're practicing and playing and doing those different types of things within sports that you, in my opinion, don't normally get. And when those kids are not going to practice, they are at home, they're doing different types of things where they're not getting they're not learning from the coach. And, that a part of that is providing a great experience for them to be able to help mentor them and help them grow as a person, as a human being. And provide them with meals and stuff. I mean, I don't know what situation Miami Northwestern is in as far as the finances and if they can provide that or not. But I'm here to tell you, if you have a program, a football program, a basketball program, a volleyball program, the goal is to give these kids the best experience. And I think all those things that he provided, transportation, meals, and everything that encompasses the program overall, is something that I hope the school can provide for here in the future and give these kids a great experience, man. We need these kids. These kids are the future of our country, and we need these great leaders and these people to be great. And I think in order to do that is to hopefully reinstate Coach. I think the kids deserve him as a coach. I think they get the best experience with him there. I think just because they won a state championship, I mean, obviously winning is the ultimate goal when you're playing sports and to compete. But as you saw with the kids going to the school board meetings, it was about a lot more than just the winning portion of the sport and winning a state championship, which is awesome. But again, these things are way more important than just that. So we'll see how this thing transpires over the next few days and weeks as things start to heat up as far as training camps are concerned as it relates to football. And like I said, I hope that he gets reinstated and becomes their head coach again and does what he does, because I think he's pretty good at it, obviously, based on what I've been hearing about his scenario. The next topic I want to dive into is, since it is, let me double check my watch here, it's the end of July. And July is, I look at, from time to time, I look to see what represent each month. So obviously you got February, Black History Month. And then all the months have something to them. October, I believe, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So there's a lot of themes for each of the months. But July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay, so let's talk about it. And as you know, I like quotes. And in episode 1, I brought you a quote. Episode 2 is going to be no different. I got a quote. And the quote is, before I give you the quote, when I kind of Google these quotes and look at these things, I look at the author, and I want to make sure that a really bad person didn't say really good things. And so as I look through these inspiring quotes online, I do research on who said them to make sure that they're a person that I want to give them credit for when I talk about their quotes. And this is no different. The quote is, mental health problems don't define who you are. They are something you experience. You walk in the rain, which it's raining right now. You walk in the rain and you feel the rain, but you are not the rain. And the person that said that was Matt Haig, I think is how you say his last name. And I thought that, when you're outside walking in the rain, you're thinking, oh, this rain is getting on me, is making me wet. My clothes are soaked. You may step in a puddle. Now your feet soggy and all that. But eventually you get into that car, you get into that house, and you can change clothes, and now you're back dry again. And so what I think the quote is talking about is not becoming of the rain and the negative connotation of it, but it's, okay, let's get through the rain and let's get back to the sunshine. And this is more of a phased. So the goals as it relates to having great mental health, which I think is extremely important, man. There's so many things going on within, I'm sure you're probably going through something that's got you staying up late at night, and that's got you concerned. And I think if you just take care of yourself first and take care of your mental health, then you can obviously be a provider for somebody else that's potentially going through something, a shoulder to lean on, somebody to talk to. But I think it starts from within first. I think you got to take care of yourself. So the goals as it relates to that. So the first thing is focus on yourself. Here's an example. So when you get on an airplane and you sit down and you get ready to take off, the stewardess come and they have the pamphlets that talk about in case of emergency. Something happens in the plane where you just got to be prepared for anything. And the thing that they talk about is the emergency oxygen mask. And so the oxygen mask pops down from the top of the airplane, and they often say, put your mask on first, and then you can assist somebody else in putting theirs on that need help. And I thought that was kind of similar to mental health. I need to put my oxygen mask on first. I need to help myself out first before I help somebody else. And, I think that could be a great start to how you approach your mental health and getting the necessary help to get you right. Self-care. This next point is something that I'm sure all of you struggle with. I struggle with this quite a bit, and that is getting enough sleep. And this is recommended that you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And I can see how difficult that is, but you got to try. You just got to try. Get to bed, turn them devices off, close your eyes. Listen, I'm notorious. I got to sleep with the TV on. It helps me go to sleep. I don't know. I've just been used to doing that. Some of you are probably like, no, turn the TV off. I can't sleep with the TV on. I do. And I set a timer, and, I usually set the timer for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever the case may be. And then hopefully I fall asleep during watching one of my favorite shows that I watch at night, Martin, Fresh Prince, things like that. And then I go to sleep. But that kind of helps me go to sleep. Some people play storm sounds, other things, but TV is my thing. But try to get as much sleep as possible. Put good nutritious food in your body. And, think about how you feel after you eat the nutritious meal versus eating something like fast food. And let me give you an example, like Texas Roadhouse, for example. They got those rolls. And listen, every time I go to Texas Roadhouse, I try to set the world record on how many rolls I can eat because they like that. And it tastes good and it feels great as I'm eating them. But afterwards, after you eat your meal, and you just feel stuffed and you don't feel great. And but in the moment it tastes great. But you know, think about how you eat maybe an apple or some fruit or anything like that. It tastes good as well, but afterwards you feel energetic, you feel rejuvenated. It's I just started back eating watermelon a couple weeks ago. I missed it. I was like, wow, when I had some in years, and I'm like, this is pretty good. And you just feel good. There's really good stuff and really good nutrients and stuff that you should be eating. You feel great, and so that puts you in a great mood when you eat those things. So it's the now versus later. It's okay. I'm gonna go eat these rolls from Texas Roadhouse. I'm gonna feel good now, but I don't feel great later. Versus I'm gonna feel good now and later if I eat a nutritious meal. So, try to put some nutritious things in your bodies to help your. Yes, I know that sounds more physical, but it does help your mental health. Managing stress. A great way to manage your stress is to meditate. And I can't remember when I did it. Probably 2-3 days ago, I went outside and did some stadium stairs workout, and it was hot. And I found myself meditating as I was doing the stadium stairs. I had my headphones on. I had some old school R&B working for me that day, and I just was in my thoughts as I was going up and down those stadium stairs. And it was not easy. It was a hard workout, and I got it done. But it gave me a chance to just gather my thoughts. Which another thing that I like to do is I like to get in the sauna. And the sauna, I mean, you sit in this little wooden room, and sauna temperatures can get between 150 and 195 degrees, which for us living in Texas is just like me getting in my wife's car after work. And when I get into the sauna at the gym, I typically will have my headphones on, and I will play gospel music most of the time, or I'll just turn them off and I'll just sit there and meditate and just gather my thoughts and try to put myself in situations to where I'm thinking positively and, taking care of my mental health. And so I'm not saying you got to get in the sauna. I'm not saying you got to run stadium stairs. Take some time for yourself to just put your phone down, turn the TV off, walk away, go for a walk, and just gather your thoughts and release your mind from the normalcies of what you go through every single day, because life can be stressful at times. The next thing is maintain a great support system with family and friends. I got a great support system. And I think I posted this on Facebook a long time ago. And sometimes you get those people on Facebook like, don't trust anybody. And I'm like, actually, I trust a lot of people. Not a lot. That's probably a little bit too odd, but there are some people that I could trust. And obviously having conversations with my wife and family members and friends. Even my kids, sometimes we just sit there and just talk and get some things off your chest and just get a great support system of people you can talk to. It is awesome. You never want to go through this alone. You never want to do this by yourself. You shouldn't have to. So find you a good support system. If it's one person, 3 people, 10 people, you get a chance to dictate how many people it is. So go ahead and just figure that out. But always lean on those that have your best interest. Spend time with them, hang out, travel, go experience life. Do something out of the norm to release your mind from that thing, and that thing that's potentially bothering you or got you staying up late at night, got you nervous, whatever it is. Just find you a great support system. If not, come to my podcast. Just listen to me talk. Hopefully that will ease you and kind of go there. But yeah, find you a great support system. This one's a big one. And I think that oftentimes, especially us men, want to be macho. I don't need to go talk to nobody. I'm just going to figure this out by myself. And that's me. try to figure things out. But, seek professional help. People got degrees and being psychiatrists and things of that nature. They got degrees and they know how to help you get through those things. So talk to a doctor, a therapist. They can help you with your mental health. And if it gets to that point, the professionals, they know what they're doing, and have conversations with them, and they'll help you through that. And so, I just, July being, Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, the Teddy Bridgewater situation. I think those are just a couple of things that are on my mind for this episode. And, I hope you enjoyed it. One thing is I kind of want to go back before I close this episode is I want to go back to episode 1. And I was ironing this shirt, so in preparation for what I wanted to wear for this podcast. And I never really dove into why I wore what I wore in the first episode. It's all calculated. And the first episode, I had the baby blue St. Louis Cardinals kind of throwback jersey. I think they still wear them on particular days now. I wore that on purpose because, as you know, the episode was a lot about my dad. And when we had his funeral, we were very non-traditional at the funeral. We, as a family, we decided to not wear the traditional black or whatever you think is traditional. We wore Cardinal stuff, and we bought the jersey, and I got, it's got my number on it. It's got my last name, Love Jr., on the back. And I purposely did that to kind of honor him with the first episode. And so I wore that. Now, in episode 2, I got on Scooby-Doo. And Scooby-Doo was my favorite cartoon growing up. And if it comes on TV, I'd turn it on. If sports isn't on, I'd watch Scooby-Doo all day. And I'm pretty sure my mom bought me this shirt. And shout out to my mom. Miss Love, as everybody calls her. Mom is what I call her, obviously. I think she bought me this shirt. And so, I just, I didn't get a chance to, talk about my mom a lot in the first episode, which obviously those that know my mom is extremely special to me. And this is kind of my way of just saying thank you and shouting out my mom for, helping me become the man I am today. And, me putting on this shirt was a reminder of her. And I remember she used to watch the episodes with me when I was a kid, and it was pretty cool. So shout out to moms for sure. And I'm sure that all the people that know her love my mom so dearly, which I do too as well. So thank you for that. I want to thank you again for coming back to Fourth and Goals podcast. As I close this episode, again, thank you for being supportive, being here with me as I take on this new journey of podcasting. People say I'm internet famous. I don't know if I'm quite that yet. I mean, you can access my YouTube channel and all that, so I guess that would make me internet famous to some people. But I'm here. I made it. I'm a podcaster. Episode number 2 is almost in the books. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for coming and spending some time with me and just hanging out with your boy, your favorite podcaster. I don't care which ones you watch. There's plenty of podcasts out there. I'm your favorite. Coach Love is your favorite podcaster. And I say that jokingly, but yeah, I hope you come back. I hope you think that this episode was worth your listen and it helps you in some capacity and help you reach the goals of what we talked about in this episode. And just thank you. So I want to say good night. Till next time, and love never fails. Appreciate your time. Thank you.